ready for this? It's showtime. Lights, fans, action. Oh yeah, we've got action. Faster, tougher, more ferocious. There's nothing like League. This is the Betfred Super League.
Got me here. It took a big chunk out of me. Bleeding. It's bleeding. Oh no, it's bleeding. The thing just ripped me ear off. What do you think?
Hello and welcome for the final time in 2025 to this edition of Edde and Stevo, the podcast, discussing all things good about the sport of rugby league with the backing and support for the past 165 episodes of the game's major sponsors, Betfred. And as we wrap up the year 2025, Stevo, the only place to start is Saturday and the third and final Ashes test. The series already gone, of course, after the first two Australian wins. But England regained a little bit of pride on Saturday, despite the widest margin of the series, 30 points to 8. What did you make of it all?
Well, I think you're pretty spot on with the fact that at least there was a lot more effort than the first and second test series. I thought that we defended a lot better. We sort of looked a little bit more compact. But our biggest problem throughout the series has been one thing. It's difficult to break down the Australian defence. If you look through the fact, I think there's only a handful of clean breaks that we've had from England in all three tests. You've got to be better than that to beat the Australians.
Yeah, you're right. And I think you're being generous there because, we had these two changes for England, Burgess and Newman coming in. You can't complain about the effort from any of them. They did pressurise Australia, but I can only remember one clean break on Saturday. They couldn't break them down, and the sad fact is, in three tests, we scored just two tries.
And to be fair, the wonderful break from Lytton was a reason why at least we scored a very good try. I mean, it was a wonderful little kick after he made the break. And, of course, we've got to look back to Wembley, where with 2 minutes remaining, England barged over underneath the post. So it's been a huge problem that we have not had the playing ability to break down the Australian defence. Now, what makes it even worse is that the media down under have started to criticise and say that the Aussies weren't playing all that well. They should have scored more tries. They should have absolutely blitzed the England outfit. Trouble is, they're probably right.
Well, maybe so. I mean, England were aggressive in defence. I thought that Jamie Peacock, actually, praising England's aggression in the series, he came out with the best line of the series on television on Saturday. He said this, Stevo, he said, "I feel like we're clapping fishes for swimming." In other words, doing what they should be doing.
Yeah. It's and look, the crowd got onto the English coach right at the end, he should be sacked. See you later. You're gone. You're finished. I suppose in many ways, Sean has fought back by saying that he doesn't get enough time to be able to create a team outfit. But you've got to also look at the fact that the Australians, they have the same problem. All right, they had 5 or 6 days ahead of us because their grand final finished a week before ours in this country. And is he just grasping at straws to try to keep the position? Who knows? I mean, speculation has been thrown out about who could take over, who could do this. Is Wayne, is he too old? Is he past it? And it always happens when you lose a series or when you lose any sport. You've got to just put your hand up and say, well, we weren't good enough. So can you keep the job? It's going to be difficult. And more difficult, who's going to make that decision?
Well, there you go. There's a number of decisions that need to be making in the game right now, isn't there? I mean, I do feel sorry for Sean Wayne. This was a home series, Stevo. I think he was battling with one hand tied behind his back. He didn't get more than off-feet training sessions, whatever that means. I assume that means they sit round and have a chat. And the squad only came together 2 weeks before this first test. It has been tough, Sean says, but his admiration for his players is immense. They battled through with knocks and injuries. Surgery's been delayed. But like that, we haven't much hope of beating anyone. Never mind the Australian side.
It is difficult, Eddie, and of course he wants to hang on because he's been the England coach for nearly 4 years now, and it really wasn't the best performance. He knows it. The players know it. Quite a few of the players have been quite outspoken and say he's a great coach. He builds us up and he's right behind us and this, that, and the other. But it's not the matter of trying to say, stir them up and say, listen, this is for your country, etc., etc. We've got to be able to select players who have got the skill to break down a very, very difficult defence.
Well, the World Cup looms in 2026. I wonder where we go from here. How can we create more space for international training sessions, proper get-togethers? Sean Wayne has said he doesn't know if England will get an opportunity to play together again before the tournament kicks off in 12 months' time. Mid-season international scrap this year, as we know. 14-team Super League next year. The chances of England's test being played next season looks slim. We've no chance of winning the World Cup then. That's the harsh fact, isn't it?
Well, hard facts indeed. And really, do the clubs in this country, do they care about what we do at the international level? As you say, we're extending it. We've got new teams coming into Super League next year. The fact that they've increased the overseas recommendation for the Super League teams to buy Australians, New Zealanders, and South Sea Islanders. So it's around 140 sort of new players that will be playing right across the board in England next year. Now, to me, and we mentioned it last week on the broadcast, Eddie, in regard to the fact that means that we've got nearly 140 young kids who maybe were just on the verge of going into professionalism, etc., and learning the facts and learning off the Australians the way that they play, or the New Zealanders, or whatever. And we've lost that. And what we're doing is we're replacing it. And to be fair and to be honest, most of the players that will be selected by our English clubs will be past their best prime.
Yeah, I mean, Sean himself has said it's just really tough what we ask of our players in the UK. He says, I get it. There's a commercial aspect to it all, but they want us, i.e. England, to turn up in a World Cup next year and perform. They're playing State of Origin, so they're playing test standard games. We don't get together until the start of the World Cup and we're expected to do something. He says he's not moaning about it because it's a fact. Nobody can argue that that's not the way it is. He says, I want us to be better, and if we are going to be better, we need to be together.
Spot on. State of Origin. Okay, it's 3 marvellous games. It's 3 wonderful build-up for the players down under. When you look back, they copied it, Eddie, off us. We had Lancashire, Yorkshire and Cumberland. And we played against each other because it's now State of Origin, where you first played your game of rugby league.
Yeah, it's a fantastic concept, it really is. And we're never going to get back to that, Stevo, are we? Never in a month of Sundays. They're not going to play 2 or 3 games like that during the course of a season. They can't even fit an England test match in, even if it's against the French or other nationalities. They're not going to be able to fit that in the Super League season.
Well, look, I can only talk about my experiences. But before the 1972 World Cup, we played 3 games against club sides in the 3 weeks building up to going to France to play in the World Cup. And that helped us considerably. So maybe they should be looking at England to play even a select situation. And there's always the option to do that. But of course, where are we going to fit it in? we've extended our season for 2026 already.
I know it is a major problem. What about Kevin Walters, by the way? He goes home a 3-0 winner as the Kangaroos coach. Will he be coaching in the World Cup for Aussies next year?
Well, I would think so, but I'm not in that selection panel. But the way that the Australian press we've won 3-0, but we should have won by 50 points every game. That's the sort of attitude that you're getting from the press down under. They're just not happy with the fact 3-0. We would have been happy with 3-0, wouldn't we? We'd say,
2-1 they're done.
Leeds, it's got to be the coach for the World Cup and all that sort of thing.
Well, the Kangaroos, as you rightly said, they were expected to win by the Australian press, the Australian media, and the Australian fans. They were expected to win and win handsomely. Let's be honest, it wasn't the best, it wasn't the greatest Australian team we've ever seen.
No, but they're saying that is Walters safe? But what people sometimes forget is that the first thing that Walters did was bring in an assistant coach who was coaching Hull Kingston Rovers at the time.
Yeah, Willie Peters.
Of course,
well, Kevin Walters, as we say, goes home, and he has actually come to England's defence. He said England have taken a lot of unfair criticism. He said they've given Australia a real series, and his team, here we go, has had to defend well throughout. And again, that was in evidence at the weekend, wasn't it, in the third and final test?
Of course it was. I mean, the only real disaster was the first test.
Yeah,
the first test at Wembley. We just weren't in the game at all in all departments. Our kicking game was bad, our defence was bad, and we improved for the second and the third, but it still wasn't good enough. And I just shake my head and think, what does the media want down under?
Well,
I mean, do they want it to be 100-0 or before they start saying, yeah, I think Walters should get the nod for the World Cup next year? It's going to be a difficult decision in regards to doing that, because they were putting that invidious situation regarding Mal Meninga, who had been the Australian coach for many, many years. He should have just continued on, but the policy is that anyone connected, and of course Meninga's gone to another club to play next in 2 years' time. So he couldn't keep his role as the Australian coach.
Don't you think that's a bit of a strange thing for him to do? You know, he's done all the prep work for the Ashes series. The new club doesn't start until 2027, but in 2025, and he walks out. Was there something behind the scenes in Australia, do you think, going on?
No, I don't know. He didn't walk out at it. It was the rules and regulations that state quite firmly that anybody who is associated with a club in Australia cannot coach the national side.
Yeah, but the club he's going to isn't going to be playing. He's not playing at the moment.
It doesn't matter. He's accepted the role as the coach. So as soon as you sign the contract to stay as the coach, he could not coach Australia. I know it's beyond belief.
It is.
I think it's quite stupid. And in many ways, I suppose when it was announced, nearly 10 months ago, that Australia would have to look for a new coach, I'm thinking, well, we've got a fairly good chance.
And of course, there was also the rumours they didn't have the hotels, they didn't have the training facilities booked. They hadn't even booked the flights when Meninga went. And then the next thing is they bring in Walters. We were all rubbing our hands, weren't we? We really were. Isn't the harsh fact, Stevo? I hate to say this because we love the game. The players have worked their socks off to try and win this series. Isn't the harsh fact that the Super League players are simply not as good as the players that come from the NRL?
It's a simple fact that we all know. So what do? Do we sort of say, right, we've got to dig deep. We've got to start from the amateurs. We've got to start from the reserve grade. We've got to start bringing quality through, get more involvement, get more top quality coaches to get to these so-called youngsters and amateurs But what do? The clubs decide to allow 140 foreigners to come and play next season. Now, you can't have it both ways. Without being too rude in regards to some people that run some of these clubs, they're not interested in international. All they're interested in is that they want that club, their club, to be successful. So therefore, they all voted and they said, yeah, we'll allow well over another 100 to come over. And if that's the start of rebuilding, then I just shake my head in disbelief.
Well,
in fact, you're going backwards.
Well, you're right, and they love the game to be successful at club level, but they do tend to bury their head in the sands when it comes to the internationals. And it's only at times like this where we try and analyse and see what's going wrong. Look, the 2025 season's now in the history books. Coming up, the World Club Challenge has been confirmed for next year after being shelved in 2025. Hull KR will meet Brisbane Broncos on Thursday, the 19th of February, at the home of deadly rivals Hull FC. It's happening, Stevo. They're going from east to west and they're playing at the MKM Stadium.
That amazes me that they're playing on the black and white ground.
Yes.
I mean, what a special night it will be if they can beat the Broncos. It's going to be very, very difficult in regards to the fact. I know a lot of people, they keep telling me, oh, if you look at the World Club Challenge, the English teams have done extremely well.
Yeah.
Well, I can assure you, they'll have to play out of their skins to get anywhere near the Brisbane Broncos, because the Brisbane Broncos will take this as one of their biggest games in the history of their involvement in rugby league. They won't take it lightly. And I'm not saying that clubs in the past, Australian clubs, have really not taken it too serious. And there has been opposition to it, saying that, does it really matter? Does it really count? I can assure you that the Broncos will be 110% wanting to win that trophy. I'm not saying that the Kingston Rovers haven't got an opportunity.
A great opportunity for Mikey Lewis, Jez Litton, Elliot Minchella and the rest to lock horns with. Reece Walsh will be over again, Patrick Carrigan, another Kangaroo tourist, Payne Haas, and the skipper of the Broncos, Adam Reynolds. It's going to be a special night, and what a feather in Rovers' cap if they can win it. They're facing Aussie opposition for the first time in 40-odd years, aren't they?
Well, we mentioned earlier, right, that the Rovers coach was brought in by the Australian coach to get special information. And of course, he would have said, how do we shut down Michael Lewis?
Yeah.
It's obvious. Walters said, right, if there's one man that knows how to shut down this guy, it's his coach. Maybe England, perhaps, in the future, bring an Australian coach into their situation. I know they brought Breers in, and he's had a lot of opportunity down under, and it's got a very good background. But sometimes you just say, forget about where he was born and forget about where he lives, is that I want that information. And Walters needed that information about this new craze, this new man, Michael Lewis. How can we stop him? I'll tell you what, we'll employ his coach.
Yes, not a bad idea, was it? Not a bad idea. Well, let's hope we can redress the balance in this World Club Challenge, Stevo, next February. And looking ahead to February, what a month it's going to be for Hull Kingston Rovers. At the 28th of February, they go over to Vegas. They're facing Leeds Rhinos in their Super League match as part of the NRL's League in Vegas adventure. They're going to be worn out come the start of March, aren't they, Hull Kingston Rovers?
Well, you said it. You don't have to ask me to answer that question. If your mind rolls back to when this sort of Las Vegas started in earnest, is that quite a few clubs, both not English clubs as well, the Australian clubs, after they've come back from Las Vegas, they've had poor scores, they've had poor response.
Yeah. Takes it out of them. Yeah.
Well, not only that, I've said it for a long time. There's a lot of things being mooted at the moment. Is to help international, to help the quality, is that all the clubs in this country should have another club associated in Australia. So that if you have a 17, 18-year-old youngster, you can send him for one season down under, and the ones in down under can be sent over to England to learn their trade. So in other words, we're looking after each other with trying to promote the game, to build it to a better standard. And that's the only way that we can do it.
Oh, well, look, the curtain's come down on 2025 and it's coming down on our podcast as well. Just last words, best memory of this year and your worst? I can imagine the worst is the Ashes, the last 3 weeks, but go on.
Well, you've got the Ashes right, that is for sure. I'd probably say the grand final.
Yeah.
We saw that we saw a new name on the trophy, which was, in my opinion, a step forward. And I just hope that we can continue to ensure that there's not the same foursome or fivesome that takes control at the grand final each year. I think it's amazing that we can get to a situation very similar to in Australia, that 1 year you're the boss and the other year you just don't make it.
Okay, look, that's it then for this year. All being well, we'll be back again in 2026. Let's wait and see. It's been great fun chatting with you, Stevo, I must say. Great fun.
Oh, hang on. I'm welling up again.
People all asking me, how you're doing, and the best way for them to find out is join us on this podcast, which they have done in great numbers this year.
Yeah.
So all that remains is for me to wish you and yours a happy Christmas, Stevo. I'll be the first to do it again. And here's to a happy, healthy, and peaceful 2026. You take care of yourself.
Yeah, and you do exactly the same, top man. All I can say is I hope you get a beautiful, moist turkey.
I'll do my best. I'll be cooking it, so I'll do my best. All the best. Have a great one.
You've never cooked in your life.
Oh, I am. I'm the head chef in this house. I'm the head honcho, just like you are. Take it easy. All the best, Stevo. Safe home.
Be good.